If you're like me, you've noticed that almost all of the people who get booked on cable news shows to talk about the threat posed by ISIS are advocating some form of robust, violent action. Clearly, there is a threat, but the range of opinion seems to be Obama's strategy to deal with ISIS over here and then calls for even more sweeping military action over here. Shouldn't we widen that range of opinion to offer a greater variety? Well, that's exactly why I've booked Congressman Barbara Lee this morning. She's a Democrat from California. She's one of the House's most liberal members, and she was the only one back in 2001 to oppose the post-9/11 authorization of military force. She is also against President Obama's current bombing campaign in Iraq. We talked earlier in Washington about the president, the polls, and the press. You were on the lead with Jake Tapper this week, I saw here on CNN. Other than appearances like that here on CNN, do you feel that your point of view is represented effectively enough on television and in the press?
I have not, at least my experience has been very seldom are progressives called, people who have an opposing point of view to whatever the current thought is and the current polling data is showing, that they're called to be on the media and on the press to have these kinds of discussions. And so I think it's very, in many ways, derelict, because we're here to make sure that people know what's going on, that they understand the issues, that they know what the crises are about so they can really understand what the solutions could be. But if they only have one point of view, that's the point of view they take and embrace.
What you're saying sort of contradicts the notion of a liberal media, that reporters are biased in favor of liberals, because you're saying you don't think progressive voices are heard often enough in settings like these. Has it been a lonely feeling for you over the years? I mentioned that lone vote in 2001. Do you have more colleagues who are siding with you these days than you did 13 years ago?
13 years ago, after the horrific attacks of 9/11, a resolution came forward, which for me was a blank check. It was very broad. It was not defined. It was not a resolution that, quite frankly, I could support. And it's a resolution 13 years later that's been used over and over and over again for bombing campaigns, for domestic spying. The Congressional Research Service gave us a list of over 30 times that it's been used. So it was a blank check.
Let me read from CNN's polling this week about this. It says, Americans are increasingly concerned that ISIS represents a direct terror threat, fearful that ISIS agents are living in the United States, according to a new CNN ORC International poll. Most now support military action against the terrorist group. To what do you attribute that point of view that we're seeing in these polls?
Well, I'm not sure. I think, again, the media has really focused on a lot of the very terrible things that are going on. And the president, of course, tried in his speech, and I think he did a good job, in saying, yes, ISIS poses a threat, not necessarily immediate or imminent, but long-term. And I think it's important, though, that we not allow fear to settle in. We have to understand the world in which we live. It's a dangerous world.
I want to read you something that was written in response to Reliable Sources last week. I talked on the program about the difference between 2003 and now, the run-up to the Iraq War and this current action. And Seth Mandel at Commentary wrote this: what media personalities are reacting to is not a hyped future threat, but the fact that ISIS terrorists are beheading Americans and sending out the videos of the acts. And the response from commentators has been revulsion, entirely appropriate, not supposed water carrying for intel sources. The comparison is irresponsible and false to compare 2003 to now. Do you feel that we may be learning the wrong lessons from the Iraq experience in 2002 and 2003 and applying them here in what is absolutely a very different case?
But it's the fear and it's the anger and it's the revulsion with regard to what took place as a result of 9/11, the horrific, the terrible, the horrible attacks, and the lives that were lost and the communities that were shattered. We're still, in many ways, in mourning from that. And these terrible beheadings, the brutal attacks that are taking place now, you know, anger sets in quite naturally. And then once that anger sets in, you want a response, an angry response. And that may or may not be in the best interest of our national security. You know, there's a history to this. So we don't want that history to repeat itself in 10 years. We have to get it right this time.
Congresswoman Barbara Lee, thank you for being here.
Thank you.